Welcome to Biz Help for You with host Candy Messer. Entrepreneurs like to focus on the big picture, like profitability, success, and a smooth-running organization. But there always seems to be those little things like taxes, employee compensation, laws, regulations, and more. Now you can get the answers you need in one place. Join us today as we break it all down for you. Now, here's your host, Candy Messer.
Hello and welcome to Biz Help for You with Candy Messer. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you found the information on last week's show, Social Media Your Way, informative. If you're unable to join us and would like to listen to the show, links can be found on our YouTube and Facebook pages, as well as multiple favorite podcast platforms. If you'd like to receive notifications on when our podcasts have been uploaded, please like and subscribe. And if there are topics you'd find beneficial or questions you have, please feel free to reach out to me at media@abandp.com. Now let's learn a little bit about our guest today. Reynaldo is a visionary, purpose-driven business leader who thinks that via their businesses, entrepreneurs can improve the world and is on a mission to assist professional business owners in doing so. He's an entrepreneur, investor, author, speaker, educator, philanthropist, and contributor with a long list of accomplishments. Former tech executive whose 10-year career spans several of the world's largest military, government agencies, leading award-winning projects for clients, including Lockheed Martin, U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, Disney, NASA, BMW, and managing a budget of $30 million. He also has other nonprofit organizations where Reynaldo focuses on underserved communities to teach them about real estate, sales, and marketing. So Reynaldo, welcome to the show.
Candy, thank you so much for having me here today. And thank you for everyone who's listening today as well. Thank you.
Sure. Well, I always ask my guests before I get into questions that I have for you, just to tell me a little bit more about yourself and how did you even get into doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, so that's a loaded question. It could take us an hour or 2-3 hours because I can tell you, if you were to meet me 12, 13 years ago, I was that kid, just playing Xbox, PlayStation, having some dominoes, and being the laziest kid you could ever imagine, and playing the trumpet, because I've been playing music since the age of 7 years old. And I still play today, and I also love to sing as a hobby. I like to do Frank Sinatra. If you see all these awards back here, it kind of tells my story as well, my journey, because I went from that lazy kid playing trumpet to, doing a master's in leadership and still playing the trumpet. So my life has taken many spins, but you can say that the last 10 years, I've developed into a professional, into the tech fields, working in business development, working in product management, starting new product services, living in Mexico for half a year, living in Silicon Valley. I mean, I've seen different perspectives in life, which is great because it allows me to add value in different places. Not only that, but I've been fortunate that since my 20s, I've worked in corporate, I've worked in small, medium businesses, I've worked in startups. So when I speak to any sort of business person, they tell me what their situation is or what they're going through. They're like, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I know how it feels like to make that, so it's great. And part of my strategy all these years is, learn as you go, build these skill sets, build those tool sets so that one day you can plug into what you want to do. And I believe in a big vision created bigger than myself. I'm looking to impact 1 billion people out there, Candy. Wow. And that's going to be through technology and through real estate. Nice. And that's why I'm here today to kind of discuss what I'm doing at Impact Annex and how that kind of, how that connects with the big vision of impacting 1 billion people, So I'm on a big journey. I'm here to connect with you and connect with many people so that they hear my vision, my energy, and we can connect on a different level.
Nice. So you did mention Impact Annex. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yes. So Impact Annex is about helping for-profit organizations. It can be a consultant, entrepreneur, any for-profit, basically create a philanthropic arm to the business. And that means basically creating a digital nonprofit where you lead with education. So for example, we have A, B, and P, right? Affordable booking. Right. Right? You have your for-profit business excellence. So let's open up that philanthropic arm where rather than now selling your services and your products, you can now educate people. What is bookkeeping and how does that solve pain points? How does that solve issues? How does that fulfill a need, and you start educating people on different topics. And what's going to happen is we can all agree that consumers today, they all go into Google or Bing or Yahoo and they do their due diligence, like who's Candy, and right, testimonials and reviews and LinkedIn search, right? There's so much due diligence process, and now people like to empower themselves with information first before they make a decision. So by creating a digital nonprofit to educate people on what you do, using what you know already, you're building that thought leadership role for yourself. You're building that authority figure. You're building that trustworthiness, right? That goodwill, giving back to society. So it's kind of practicing that methodology to give before you receive, right? Now, what's great about this is that we focus on one grant in particular called the Google Nonprofit Grant. With this grant, Google gives a nonprofit $120,000 of ad credit to be used to advertise your organization. Now, what's great about it is that it's a lifetime grant.
Oh,
so
nice.
Once you get it, it's yours every single year. So at Impact Annex, not only we get you the grant, get you set up with the nonprofit, but we teach you what to do with that grant. That's the next process. The next process, what to do with it. So we teach you kind of how to create landing pages, offers, how to put that webinar presentation together, so you can educate public in different diverse channels around the world. And that's amazing.
Yeah, this sounds, it's going to be a great topic even to have a discussion on this, because I think there are a lot of us that have businesses that are, technically for profit, that we do have a heart for our customers or for other people out there. That's one reason why I even have this podcast, is to educate people on things that will help their businesses be successful. And then I record small video clips, usually like in between 2 to 5 minutes on a topic, really to like help educate. And it's not even just on like the bookkeeping or payroll, but it could be on human resources or technology or how to protect yourself against a cyber threat, whatever it might be, right? That's really my goal, is to educate. So we're talking exactly what like my passion is as well. So I think it's going to be really interesting to share what you have to say, because I've never heard about this until, we connected, that this even existed. So I think a lot of people will find this very interesting.
Yeah,
so,
I'm with you 100%, and you'll be a great person for this program, because you're already educating people through podcasts, and that's a valid vehicle to educate people. Not only that, but I find it funny when people think, is this a scam? I'm like, it's not a scam. Go Google it yourself. Google ad grant. The thing is, I'll be honest with you, we're merging capitalism with philanthropy, because people say tax the rich or that 1% and how they're doing it. And folks, this is how they're doing it. If you can Google search celebrities with nonprofit foundations, you're going to be surprised how many politicians, how many celebrities have a nonprofit for a reason. And it's also tax incentives. There's so many tax incentives and asset protection through a nonprofit. So, at Impact Annex, we're building a mastermind group where we're bringing the top lawyers, CPAs to educate our members on that, because everybody deserves to know what this is, and everybody deserves to be 100%, not just 1%, to be 100%, and how society move forward and help the economy grow and create more jobs. And this is the way of doing it, leading by education. And we're thankful that Google has this process since 2003. We're just grateful that with mythology is kind of thinking outside the box. So you know what? You need a nonprofit, but how can we align it with your for-profit and make it still, impactful? And that's what we're doing. So definitely.
So for those who are listening, though, because you used, the word strategic philanthropy. So for those who are listening who are not quite sure what your definition is, can you explain what that really is?
Yeah, sure. So when people hear about philanthropy, they think, A, I have to have so much money. They also mean, I have to give something physically, or I have to give cash. And no, the answer is no. So when I say strategic philanthropy, I want people to be like, huh? What is that? Make them curious, because I want to explain to them that philanthropy can be anything you want it to be, as long as you're giving in some sort of form. And the easiest form for us is to give what we already know. We have many assets up here. And that's what we teach in the program, is how to become philanthropists. How can we strategically give people without really having anything physically? And that is through our minds.
Right. So what would you tell someone who's listening now and says, well, this sounds great. Like, I've got some ideas on things, but, I haven't really been sharing things yet. I don't have a podcast, or I'm not sharing video clips, or I'm not teaching content yet, but I really have a passion to do so. Like, what would you tell them is the best way to start on this path?
Sure. So first of all, you have to be incorporated. So I'm not sure if they're incorporated or not, but let's say you're not incorporated and you need help. This Google Ad Grant stuff, Google lays out all the steps for you to do it yourselves. We just take the heading out from it. Those folks out there who are not tech savvy, they don't know how to do it, they don't know how to manage it, and we take away that problem. We kind of teach you the ropes, we do it for you in some way, almost like a hybrid. But we give you all the tools and resources needed. I mean, if you're not willing to put in the work, then it's not going to be a good fit for you, unfortunately. Anything in life in terms of success requires hard work. And either you put in the work, or at least if you're fortunate to have some financial background or support, hey, you can outsource it, not a problem. That helps. But just remember that you're the brains, you have what it takes, and you have to know how to, leave education somehow. But that's what I tell for those folks that are listening, that you have to put in the work.
Right. So you mentioned this Google grant, and, there's kind of a process. So obviously you said like Google it to find information that's not a spam, type thing too, but like what would be the steps that they would even, be able to look for the information other than like a Google search, but like a website, or what are the steps that really they have to go through to even start the process of applying for the grant?
Yep. So first of all, the process kind of A to Z pretty quickly is you have to have some sort of email address that ends with your domain. So you have to make sure you purchase your domain. It can be Candy's Academy, right? .org. And then you want to create email at candy@candyacademy.org. And then you like to have, either a separate business number or your own phone number. That's fine. And then you like to go onto ipostal1.com. That's who we use, basically to get yourself a virtual office space. If you have one, great. If you don't have one, this place is phenomenal. They charge $10 a month. You can use any virtual office you want address, and they receive mail on your behalf, and they take a picture of it and they send it to you on their mobile app. You don't have to go to the office. But anyways, get a virtual office space, and then you go into TechSoup. Now, TechSoup is Google's only partner in this, and they validate nonprofits worldwide. And at TechSoup, they want you to open up a free account. I mean, it's all free. You open up an account, you confirm the email address, and then it'll ask you for your nonprofit's detail. Now, keep in mind for this program, you have to have a 501c3 status. All right. Now, we do that for folks, but if you're not there yet, you have to get that 501c3 status first. Once you have that, then you can apply with TechSoup. But they'll ask you for EIN number. They'll ask you for your operating budget. They want to know your primary activities, basically what you're doing as a nonprofit. And that takes 2 to 14 business days for them to review it, approve it, and then they give you this token that only lasts for 60 days. So that token is how you apply for the Google nonprofit on their website. They'll ask you for that token. And what's great about that token, Candy, is that it also unlocks other grants and resources from other Fortune 100 companies worldwide that are similar to Google. So you have 60 days to apply for those programs. That's on TechSoup, by the way. So once you get that token, you apply for Google Ad Grants. It takes Google about 3 to 5 business days to review your website, review the TechSoup token, review your information, documentation of the incorporation, and then, bing, you got the grant. Congratulations. And that's only like 50%, by the way, Candy. The other 50% is, all right, now you have the grant, what to do with it, right? And also how to use Google Ads platform to create the campaigns, create the ads, and scale up and get in front of people, right? So that's an area that, either we help folks with, or they can get certified by Google or look at online trainings for that. But that's the whole process right there.
So can you talk a little bit more than too, because you mentioned like, okay, you get this grant, so it's good for Google ads or campaigns. Can you actually talk about that for those who, again, maybe who are unfamiliar with what that is? Really, what are those things that they would be using those grant funds for?
Yes. So first of all, for those folks who are listening who do not know maybe what Google Ads is, if you guys ever search on Google searches for anything, football, food, you name it, you'll see that on the first page, you'll see kind of the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 listings. It says ad right next to it. And those are folks who are paying physically from their own pocket to be, labeled on the first page of Google searches for those type of keywords. And they're reckoning all that business, right? So basically with these Google ad credits that Google provides you, it's not cash, it's credit, all right? It'll allow you to kind of target the right folks, target the right keywords that people are typing in, and so that you can kind of present yourself on the first page when people look for those certain keywords, you pop up, right? So these credits are only for search ads. So you can't use it for YouTube and any other kind of Google tools. It's only for searches. right? And all these ads and campaigns, they're managed by a platform that Google calls Google Ad Platform. It's on the back end, and you can access it through your Gmail accounts. And there's where you can create the different multiple campaigns and ads. Now, this can be used for anything relating to advertising, for your products, your services, your mission, whatever your content is, that it is. Now, Google, they have specific policies for different industries, different niches. For example, sometimes you can't use the word housing just because that's just Google's rules. And then they'll just flag your campaign and say, hey, you can't use the word housing, please fix it and we'll review it again and approve it. So there is certain policies one has to follow. There's also policies one has to follow for the Google Ad Grant itself, because people get confused many times that when you're running Google Ads for yourself or a for-profit, they think it's the same thing as a nonprofit side of things, but it's completely, I guess they're completely different, but same platform, just different rules, different limitations and what you can do. And you have to understand that. For example, if you get this Google grant, you're not supposed to add a debit card or a credit card at the end of your account, or else it gets flagged and interrupts the grant. Like who would know that? And again, Google doesn't share that. That was, I had to go through my own roadblocks. I had to be my own first customer to go through all this motion before I can perfect the system for people. But you can't do that. And there's a limit of $329 a day you can use to ad spend per day. So that's different for profit, but for nonprofits, it's $29. You see? So there is different type of rules like this.
So, I mean, I understand where you were saying, okay, you have to form a nonprofit and that's what you're using these funds for. But if it's kind of connected with your company and the content you're sharing maybe is still somewhat related to your company, how do you like keep those separate so that it's considered you're doing what the rules say, in terms of following that and having the nonprofit? But if the content is really kind of related to your for-profit business, I think that's a question other people might have as well.
Sure. So nonprofit, for-profit, two complete separate entities, right? Google only looks at your nonprofit entity only. And all they care about, you don't have commercial languages there. All they care about is you have only education, nothing else. It can be through a podcast, through a webinar presentation, through blogs, articles, ebooks, you name it. But that website, that digital nonprofit, right? Just a website, it's meant only to educate people. Now you're allowed to have people give you your first name, last name, email to access this content, which I do highly recommend, because what you want is to build that mailing list, right? So that once they see, Affordable Booking Workshop 101, Candy, you can be like, hey, John, thanks so much for watching my workshop. Glad you loved it. If there's anything I can do for you to service you, please let me know. Here's my information. And that information can be your for-profit. It's okay. It's on the back end. So that's where you can service them onto your for-profit. Again, nonprofit is about educating, and then your for-profit is about how do you service people who are interested in working with you. You see?
Okay. Yeah. Because I was thinking like a lot of your expertise and things you're going to be sharing are coming from the services that you provide. So I was just trying to make sure I understood kind of what that difference was. So, okay. So if someone has a company and it's like located outside of the United States, or they're going to form a nonprofit outside the United States, does that still qualify, or do they have to be US based?
Nope. So they can be US based or any other country. I'll tell you why. I mentioned earlier, TechSoup is a global organization. So you can bet that in any country, there's going to be a TechSoup organization. And it's the same process. And we can help with that because they're our partners.
Nice. Well, and I've heard of TechSoup only because I do have a few nonprofit customers, that I help with their bookkeeping too. And I know they've talked about some of the resources that they've been able to receive from there. So I'm still not sure everything they offer. So it was good that you mentioned that for this as well. So again, we're listening and we're saying, okay, this sounds really great. Like I definitely want to have like a philanthropic side to my business. I understand like I have to form, this nonprofit, but it still seems really overwhelming. So how do I even start to implement like this whole process for my company?
Sure. So that's why we exist. We're trying to take away that headache. That's why we do everything for that for-profit. We open up your nonprofit. We get that guaranteed 501c status. We get you the grant. We do that whole process, right? Get that guarantee for you. And we give you 8 weeks of video training. What is this training on? It's basically preparing your mindset. It's about showing you what tools we're using for our own businesses and for other businesses. So teaching you how to use it, because it's like that model that says what? teach a man how to fish, and he'll fish forever by himself, right? So
I know what you're saying.
I could be saying it wrong, but you
Yeah,
guys get
it's
the
something
idea.
like, catch a fish, you feed them for a day, teach them how to fish, they could feed themselves, long term or something. I didn't say it exactly right either, but we have the concept.
Exactly. So we're trying to scale up, and the best to do that is to teach people the tools, give them the tools, give them the resources, and the most important part, Candy, is give them the support. I think I said that multiple times, but it's because Google doesn't give you support, and that sucks. And if some of us, yeah, you get the grant, what do you do with it? Exactly. So we help you get those resources, those tools, what to do with it, basically, right? And also help with some strategies. And then on a weekly basis, you have access to us, Facebook Live, emails, you name it. If you want to submit things to us to review, we'll do that as well. But we won't be satisfied until you're satisfied. So that's really important for us. Because we have multiple KPIs set up for your business and then for our business, and that's really important for us as KPIs, because we measure results by numbers. It's all about numbers for us, numbers and impact, and that's about it. So we take away the headache. So if you're a for-profit, you're interested, don't worry about the 501c. What I need, getting approved, lawyer, CPA. No. Stop overcomplicating it. Us human beings, we love to overcomplicate things. Stop it, right? So what I tell people is go to our website. We have a popular section called the FAQs that go drain out all your concerns, show you the whole process. We have a webinar that I present for 19 minutes, 19 minutes. It goes through the whole concept, the whole process, so that you feel comfortable and you know exactly the steps, you exactly know the timeline and what you're going to start going through in terms of timeline, right? It doesn't require heavy lifting. It's all about technology. Again, my background is technology, and I'm all about automation, all about efficiency and scaling up. And that's what I want for clients, is to impact, but also have an autopilot business that works for them, you see? So, and that's only that. That's only one part of things. We're also building a mastermind, Candy, where we're bringing the top CPAs, lawyers to teach U.S. nonprofits about tax incentives and asset protection. Because, I mean, I think I mentioned earlier, many celebrities have foundations, and it's about how to use that the proper way, so that you can pay little to no taxes. So that's some pretty cool stuff right there. That took me, 33 years? I'm 33, by the way, the age of Jesus. Woo! But it took that long to really crack the code. But I'm happy it did. And I'm not going to be one of those people just reserve it for myself and just kind of go run with it. No, I'm going to share with everybody. Here I am.
Right. Perfect. Well, you did mention too, that you help with all this because Google doesn't have any support. And that was one thing I was wondering too, because often when we're doing things, there's questions that come up and you need to reach out to someone. So that, it's good to know, don't count on Google to help you. You need to have someone who understands it.
Exactly. They only have heavy documentation, but they don't tell you do's and don'ts. They don't tell you the best practices. They don't tell you, here's a shortcut, or here are things you don't really have to do. They leave a lot of blanks out there. And for them, I mean, I can't say they don't care, but they're a big giant. And for them, it's a tax write-off for them, big time, when they started this in 2003. So, I'm happy that we're able to do what we do and we can support people. And because again, I invested about $70,000 into this business when I started, about 6 months of trial and error. So that makes sure that I cover every single thing, make sure I can say guarantee, which is a big, powerful word. If not, by the way, 100% money back, but we haven't failed once yet. But it's all been guaranteed, unless Google shuts down or something. But I can say that with very confidence that we can help people.
Right. So I know there's this concept of, often we think of giving, like you said earlier, is like financially from your company, and, you're paying out of pocket and things like that too. And there's other things you could do by sharing your wisdom and your resources and things like that too. But in the long run, tell somebody how giving is going to help them with their bottom line.
Of course. So like I mentioned, for those folks who like to go networking, right? I'm a networker. I've seen it out there. Have you guys tried asking the other person so many questions, and then you see them, for some reason, at the end, they want to help you so much because you let them speak, and you ask so many questions about them? It's kind of the same type of model where, you know what, I'm going to give, and naturally people want to give you back. They want to help you with your business. They want to somehow be part of it. Same thing as when we grew up as kids, where our brain is in tune that when we see people on TV or hear the voice on radio, somehow we think that they're a superstar, they're a celebrity, they're famous, right? So I can tell you right now, Candy, in your standpoint as a podcast host, I'm so confident when people say, oh my gosh, she responded to my email. Oh my gosh, she wants me to be on her podcast. There's so much beautiful experience that happens when people hear people, they see people on the screen. So when it comes to giving, you're educating people, right, through different various channels. And now that digital blueprint, you're building that influencer status, you're building that celebrity status as well. So by doing that strategically, right, providing value, that's going to grow your business. Because think about how many competitors out there right now in your space have a nonprofit where they educate people on booking or payroll. Not that many. Even the big companies, ADP, I'm sure, yeah, they give money to charity, but do they have a nonprofit that educate people on it? I don't think so, right? There's a very, very small percentage of people who have a for-profit and a nonprofit that both are aligned. And that makes it unique. Again, it builds your thought leadership status, and you can say that you're giving. And that's the most important thing. We're ingrained also as we're growing up that people who are nonprofit are broke. They also people see nonprofit as, oh, those folks are always people first. They care about people and nothing else. And this is why nonprofits, easy for them to get in the door anywhere. Hi, we're a nonprofit. Can I speak to CEO? Yeah, sure. You're not gonna sell me anything, It's just it's the truth. Is the truth, right? So there's different ways a nonprofit you can get in, educate them, and service them with your for-profit.
Right.
Simple it is.
Well, and I think in terms of, that giving, it needs to be authentic though too, right? Like your passion is really to put that information out there and to help, not with the ulterior motive of like, okay, I'm going to give so that I get back, right? Because I think people can sense your motives. And if they know that what you're doing is really pure and you want to help them, then yes, it comes back that, they would like to help you if they can.
I've seen that. I've seen folks who come onto the program and they want to record a 1-minute video, 2-minute videos. I'm like, no. You're in it for the wrong reason. You have to leave with education. And by the way, I have the right to kick out anybody from this program, by the way. And I have to interview each person that comes onto this program. So if someone kind of picks a picture of something and then in the program side, they're not really doing what they're saying, I can kick them out and get the money back, because I'm not here to make, create fake people and create fake stuff, etc. So you're right to your point. You really have to be passionate. And this is why I tell people not to overcomplicate it. When it comes to creating a digital nonprofit, it's really going to be easy for you if you do it with something you're passionate about and a lot about the topic. Because if I say, Candy, open about a digital nonprofit, we'll get you the grant, focus on, I don't know, teaching about trains or saving the plants. You can be like, okay, but I don't know anything about plants. I mean, just to get the grant to promote, it's not going to happen that way. So you really have to be aligned with what you're doing, what because everything's coming from here. If not, it won't be successful. Number two, if you plan on just starting any sort of nonprofit and it's not related to what you know a lot, and you start promoting things that relate to your for-profit, you can bet that Google's going to knock it down, because they have actual people looking at your website on a monthly basis. You see? So you can try, but it doesn't go that far.
So this may be outside of the topic that we had planned for today when we were talking more about like the grant specifically, but I know when you have a nonprofit, you're supposed to have a board of directors, and usually you've got at least 4 people on the boards. Does that really apply to this situation? And if so, then who do you need to have besides yourself on the board?
Yeah, so that comes down to if you're looking to do a U.S. nonprofit or a Canadian or a different country. Like in Canada, you can use 1 person. That's fine. No issue there. The U.S., every state is different. Some states require 1, some require 3 or minimum 6. So it really comes down to where you like to build your nonprofit. And again, our nonprofit lawyer will go one-on-one with that person to see what's best for them. That's what we also recommend, to do the 1023 easy form, which again, this can be overboard for some folks that are listening. 1023 easy form basically allows you to, you can't raise more than $50,000 in donations. It's only $50,000 per year, and that's it. The whole purpose of a nonprofit for us is just to get the grant and uses digital nonprofit website for education purposes only. If you're looking to get into donations and do other things like that, that becomes a bit more complicated, which is fine. I mean, if that's what you like to do, like to go beyond this kind of Google grants, we just suggest to as well speak to your lawyer and CPA if you'd like to do further things. But yeah, directors just choose, again, if you're looking just to do grant, the state that just requires one director, which is yourself and nothing else.
Okay, so if their company is located in one state, but they're like, well, I just want to do this mainly for the grant, ensure my education, can they incorporate in a different state for that nonprofit?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
And then it's just them, and they don't have to worry about a board of directors.
Exactly.
Right.
Our whole process is assuming that you're not going to do something crazy. We assume that it's just for the grant and nothing else. So if you want to go deeper, you have to let us know. So we let our nonprofit lawyer know, and we can adjust. But we can certainly help.
Right. Well, I know this is interesting information, and I mean, I've learned a lot just from this conversation. I mean, like I said, I hadn't even heard of this before, we met you through, some connection, and I was like, oh, this would be a great topic, right? Sure. I'm glad that you touched base with me, because I think there's a lot of people that have no idea that this even exists, and, what to do and how to share the information and be able to get funds to help promote it through, like I said, it's not dollars in your pocket, but it is dollars to be able to use for marketing, basically. So I think this has been a great topic.
Yeah. And if there's anyone that's listening that's already a nonprofit, you're already halfway there. It just comes down to applying on the Google Ads grant website, and it's all yours from there. And then if you need help with Google Ads management or how to scale up with different tools, we're happy to support you as well. So share the news, Candy, because I get that common statement. I've never heard of that before. Well, hey, me either. And so I found out in 2020.
Exactly. So I know you mentioned, you have some things that you could do to help, but do you have an offer specifically that you would like to share with the listeners today?
Yes. So anyone that goes to my website, watch the webinar. Yes, folks, 19 minutes. It's okay. You can do it while you're cooking, walking around, running. It's fine. But once you're doing the webinar and you kind of see the timeline information, et cetera, and you like to proceed forward with this program, when you book a call, the section says who referred you, just say Biz Help for You with Candy Messer, or just put Candy Messer Podcast, and we'll give you 10% discount on the whole program. Okay.
And how do they find that program?
www.impactannex.org.
Perfect. And if anyone wants to connect with you through any other methods, do you want to share other, ways that they can reach you?
Yes, feel free to reach me on LinkedIn. My name is Reynaldo, Reynaldo Santana. Sometimes I appear as Reynaldo Antonio Santana, but it's a picture of myself with Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, if that helps. And I'm a little chubby. It's okay. I admit it. I still got the epidemic, flub, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Right. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, and we will put, as long as we have all of the links that have been provided to us, we'll put those all in the description on our YouTube description for this particular podcast as well. So if you're on YouTube, you can look in the description. If you're listening on a podcast, you can find the details as well. And if you have, where you can't find them for some reason, reach out to us and we're happy to get them, to you as well. But Reynaldo, I just appreciate you being a guest on my show today and sharing your expertise on this topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Candy. Thank you everyone for listening today.
And I do want to also thank the listeners for tuning in. I hope you found this topic interesting and then answered some of your questions about how to get this grant to grow your organization by positioning strategic philanthropy. If you have any additional questions or comments, be sure to reach out to Reynaldo at the links that he shared or send us a message at media@abandp.com. And would you please share our show information with those you know? I'd really appreciate your support. I hope you can join us for next week's topic. You don't have to shout to stand out, networking conversations that connect and convert. And please remember, you can connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And my website is abandp.com. You can also find the podcast posted on multiple favorite podcast platforms, including Google, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Until next time, have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next Tuesday. Have a terrific week.